This is Mind Over Money, presented by Waymaker. Today we're talking with Matt Tembo on all things property. Let's go. Welcome back. I'm Lachy, and today I'm joined by buyer's advocate Matt Tembo from Inspire Realty in Brisbane. Hey, mate.
Hey, Locke. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Nice to have you back on the podcast. Property. I feel like it's always a hot topic.
Yep.
It's always in the news.
Yep.
People are always speculating, probably more than we should. So hopefully we're not adding to that speculation, but we do want to know what's going on. And so who better to talk to than yourself? So what's going on in your neck of the woods, Matt? You're a buyer's advocate who's actually helped some of our Waymaker members and listeners of this show. You're on the ground at inspections every weekend, at auctions in Brisbane and across Queensland. And I know you've got that team in Sydney as well, looking at what's going on down in New South Wales. But what are you noticing of late?
Yeah, thanks, Locke. It's always a pleasure, hanging out with the guys at Waymaker. Yeah, and property, hot topic at the moment. It's just never ending, isn't it? Particularly where we are, our neck of the woods in Brisbane, feels like big construction site if you go in the city. From my end, I'm noticing that there is a elevated buyer activity, more so in the backdrop of what is it now? 12 consecutive interest rate hikes, which is, fascinating times we're living in. But yeah, it's still picking up. There is still a massive demand for property, particularly from the owner-occ end of things. First-time buyers still very interested to get into their first home. Investors are still on the fringes, much more cautious. I'd say, just with the current environment from an interest rate point of view, but there is still ongoing demand, particularly, I suppose, on the more affordable end of the budgets. But yeah,
so investors are not just buying anything; they're doing their numbers and making sure that what they're buying is going to check out.
Yeah, that's right,
and create a good return. Okay, how's property stock going lately?
Oh, that's been the clincher. That there hasn't been enough stock at the moment in the market. A certain decrease, actually. I saw a report saying there's, I think, a drop of more than 2% month on month, which is it's creating a very interesting kind of conflation of events, because you've got all these buyers very much so interested to get into a property, and then you've got not enough. So it is essentially creating a bit of a surge in pricing. So you're finding that property prices are on the leap again.
Are they expecting for more stock to come on board? I guess that's a bit of a crystal ball question, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a consumer buyer behavior that we can't really control.
Yeah, that's a tricky one to understand. I would say things like stock is also a consequence of construction. So as you know, we are in a very interesting environment from a construction point of view. So the fact that there isn't enough supply coming from the construction, is aiding to the commotion in the market, if you want to call it that. Say, I think building approvals, things of that nature, they're going down. Again, we know why this is, because construction companies are not doing as well. I think for most buyers who would typically build, they are joining the lines in buying established property.
Yeah, on that, so we've got another builder that went bust this week, a big one. I won't mention which one it was, but that they join a list of builders that have gone this year. And of course, they'll pop back up as different entities. The building industry will continue to move on. But so that does affect property prices, right?
Yes.
If a large portion of supply is coming from the building industry and we're not getting enough applications and approvals through, that does affect supply, correct?
100%. Yeah. So that's just, historically, that's just been the way that the property market works. Every year, there's an expectation that as population grows, as all these things happen, there's going to be a new deluge of properties on the market, right? So, but because, the last 2 years has been torrid, for builders, you're having to deal with, obviously interest rates by itself is an issue, because number one, it's going to affect your buyers, but number two, it actually affects the builders themselves. A lot of them are deleveraged. They've got a lot of debt, mortgages,
Mm.
so they're having to deal with that increase in commitments to pay off their mortgages. And then number two, you've got just inflation. Material costs are just they are slowly coming down. But I think in the last 2 years, you've had incredible increases of, up to 20, 30% even, on just normal things like concrete and wood and
Mm.
timber, things of that nature.
Yeah, I have noticed timber prices have changed. I guess also the service costs are higher for the builder too.
Oh,
And like you
yes.
said, if it's taking longer to build a home, and so you having to hold debt for longer, and then you're having to service
Mm,
higher interest rates because the builders themselves have debt,
yeah.
that's what's causing them to have those cash flow problems, which is forcing some of them to be quite creative in order to survive. We saw one big builder, again, won't mention names, but they actually tried to renegotiate their contracts with customers.
Oh, yeah.
There is a lot of fear in the media. We hear about property, but what's actually happening on the ground? Is it fear on the ground, or is it more caution on the ground?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, fear is in the media for sure, especially the other day I was watching Current Affair, and, sure enough, they've got the lady there, she's sobbing and she's lost her house, and so the media does paint a picture of doom and gloom. But in like on the ground, there is a lot more caution. There is a lot more kind of steady mindedness. I'm finding that, builders are
Mm,
trying to really kind of build the bridge with their customers and their clients, because I think the
mm,
clients themselves understand that this is a very interesting era we're living in. So there's more negotiation now when it comes to the contractual obligations when it comes to builds. So
So people are being level-headed, and
mm,
and when it comes to buying existing properties, I guess people are being more realistic about what they can sell their homes
as
for, and
well.
also more realistic about what they can afford to buy.
Yes. There's people are not just jumping in.
Yeah, which is a good thing because we saw during COVID what happens when you get a price spiral where everyone's starting a bidding war. That's never fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. It's great for the seller, but
Yeah, but it's not great for everyone. So yeah, I would say on the ground there's just so there's obviously negotiation and a bit more kind of dialogue between builders and their clients, and then on the established front, I'm finding that buyers that I think it's now a matter of terms and conditions, if that makes sense. So
mm,
finding
yep,
that the terms attached to the contract, that's the clincher. That's where the conversations are being had. So when people are settling, because you have to also understand a lot of owner occupiers who are selling, maybe there is an opportunity for them to buy another one, right? So
mm,
everything kind of hangs on settlement dates, on finance conditions, and so people are engaging in a little bit more negotiation as opposed to 12, 18 months ago when you just sign a contract and move
yep.
on. Yeah.
Well, even more reason, I guess, to work with a mortgage broker and great
Mm.
solicitor to get things ready and get things in order so you're ready for settlement. On the population issue, where do you think immigration is going over the next couple of years? And do you think it's a bit overhyped because we see these stats of people coming into the country, but we have to remember that people are also leaving, and we had a lot of people leave during COVID as well.
Yeah. That's such a hot topic, isn't it? Population. Goodness me. Yeah, I think the way that from my point of view, I think it's a little bit overhyped. I do understand that there's forecasts coming out saying that Australia's going to have 400,000 people, but we have to understand that a big proportion of that are students, and a big
Mm,
proportion of that are holiday makers, coming to backpack and things like that. And then
mm,
you do have a considerable amount of people who are still professionals and wanting to purchase a property. But again, I think we have to be level-headed um, in not creating a hype. Yes,
yeah.
I do think that may create some sort of problem, but I think that's a short-term rental problem, I'd say. Um,
Mm. Well, we need population growth
yes.
anyway
Mm,
to grow our economy. So wasn't it about 2% of
yes.
net
We need net
population
2%
growth?
growth. Yeah, that's just
Right.
good to sustain the
That's,
economy.
yeah, I mean, that's great. But we're going to need more homes.
Yeah.
So I guess it's good to see that even politicians now are starting to take this seriously. And hopefully we see some more support for builders and some more
Yeah.
solutions being delivered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think that from a political point of view, yeah, it has to be it has to lean more towards, I think, historically it's been, let's help out, the buyer, let's give them a grant, let's take out stamp duty. But I think, we really need to support the builders because they are the ones on the ground giving us the home. So the more that they can be supported, the more that that the supply side of the problem can be fixed.
Watch the space. But it'd be interesting to see if some councils, open up the approvals again for battle axing and, modifications to granny flats in the backyard, those kind of things. So
yeah, I've actually noticed that the South Australian government has taken a lot of initiative in actually being proactive and relaxing those council regulations in order to open things up. So I believe that in South Australia, if you've got a granny flat, generally I think the legislation says that the granny flat can only be utilized by people or members of the same family, but they're opening it up to being auxiliary homes, so which can be used out for commercial, or residential purposes, which is good.
Oh, Queensland, if you're listening.
Yeah.
All right. After the break, Tembo and I talk about the infrastructure pipeline in Brisbane. Music today is A Million Signs by Vividry. Enjoy. So talking about Brisbane, actually, infrastructure-wise, like you said at the start, Brisbane's a giant construction zone. There seems to be, we've got trains going in, we got planes flying in, almost too close to the city, and we've got construction everywhere. We've got a metro, and cranes everywhere. So what's going on as we lead up? I guess the next 10 years, we've got the Olympics coming up. What's happening with Brisbane infrastructure-wise? How's that affecting suburbs? And making Brisbane a great place to live.
Yes, it's a very exciting time for Brisbane. Of course, the Olympics, that is the hot button topic. Everyone's, kind of jumping on at the moment.
We should say we're biased. We both live in Brisbane. We love the city.
Of course, we already love it.
That's why we're talking about it.
That's right.
So shout out to all our friends.
Shout out to everyone. Shout out to Perth, Melbourne, Sydney. We love you guys too.
Wherever you're listening from, you can just skip this part, I guess.
Yeah, but Brisbane is it's going through a massive kind of makeover at the moment. So, but I think a centerpiece in this is really, you've got the Queen's Wharf development, which is this massive development by the Star, massive casino.
Well, that's good for tourism.
Yeah, that's great for tourism. They've got the Neville Bonner Bridge, cutting right across the river, going over to South Bank. So you're connecting two really interesting precincts, the casino and the park. And you've got the redevelopment of the Gabba soon to happen. You've got North Shore happening. You've got East Shore. The West End as well is going to be a hustle and bustle. I think there's expected to be
and these aren't just tourist and commercial projects as well. A lot of these, like the North Shore, East Shore, and West End projects, are residential hubs as well. They're going to have lots of new apartments, lots of new townhouses.
Yes.
So that's going to add lots to the supply.
Yes.
But they really are. These projects seem like giant lifestyle hubs where people can like live and shop around and kind of be in these little communities. They have a real community aspect to them as well.
I believe that the council's vision is to have a 15-minute city, right? So where everything is close and accessible. So I mean, projects like the Cross River Rail, for instance, which is, trying to connect the city, the inner city, with this underground rail system, that's really going to push this, a walkability, dynamic of the city.
Walk to the train, catch the train in the city.
And then also create, lifestyle hubs like the Victoria Park complex as well, which is coming online, which is stunning. It's like a Singaporean-esque type, gardens by the bay, which is, it's very exciting, right? So you'd be able to, catch a train or catch a bus and be in the 10-15K radius of the city within a 5 to 10 minute kind of period. So, which is very exciting for people in those areas and for property especially, because it just creates a very kind of European, I would suppose, kind of city. which is really number one. It's great for tourism, but it's also great for the property market itself. So we're going to find apartments, townhouses. I think our traditional model in Australia, where we love our backyards, so the trend,
and our Queenslanders,
especially
which
in
are
Queensland,
impossible
right,
to heat and cool.
we want to play cricket, right? So we want to play cricket in the backyard, but it's going to start shifting over to having kind of Japanese type apartments where they're modular in a sense, and having your townhouses, and just living more minimalistic, I'd say. So instead of having the 1,000 square meter block, having the more quaint 200 square meter townhouse or terraced homes that are a walking distance from a park and 5 minutes from the city, that's going to become a very alluring, I suppose, kind of emergence of property.
I like the idea of that. I live in the suburbs, quite leafy, and we have a park nearby. And I love taking the dog down to the park because you actually meet people along the street and you meet people at the park.
Yeah.
And, you have that community aspect as well. So you're actually getting outside your home and connecting with the people around you. So it's great to see each of these suburbs in Brisbane are kind of getting their own, community building hubs with the parks and infrastructure that's going in to make each suburb its own very livable city in itself, especially for those suburbs closer to the city. So
yeah, that's correct.
But I do love how leafy Brisbane's becoming, and hopefully we can keep it that way.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that the city, the transformation of the city is I think it's very exciting. In particular because Brisbane still has, I'd say there's so much potential for us to still build that 10K radius of the city, because a lot of it still has traditional kind of heritage listed properties, and you've got massive blocks of land. So there is still opportunity, for the developers to come in and create really new exciting hubs similar to the ones in West End.
Do you think we can fix the river?
Yeah. Anyone got chlorine?
You can write in if you have any ideas.
We'll just Photoshop it. It's okay.
Let us know what your best idea is. Cool. Okay, I think we'll stop it there. We're going to keep talking, and we're going to do a bonus episode because I want to hear some of your tips on finding a property gem in this market. What do you look for when you're looking for a property, and where do you find a property? So that's going to be in the next episode. So if you're listening to this tomorrow, come back again. We've got episode 58. That'll be a bonus episode. Me and Matt are going to keep chatting. But for now, thanks for listening. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, mate.
I'll talk to you guys again soon.